Hi, my name is Jayoza, and I'm going to give you a tip when you're looking for a job that you rarely ever get, and that is how do you handle that first call that you're having with an employer? And here I'm going to assume that that first call is with the hiring manager, is the person you're going to be working for. How do you handle that? If you're like me, probably not that well. Now, by that I mean most people, when they enter the first call, they really don't have a simple strategy and a stopping rule. Now, I'm going to go into this in a little bit more detail, but let me tell you how I came up with this. And it was through my own personal experience. So I had an interview with one of the top IT companies in the world, and it was for a sales position out of New York City. And I had a conversation with the hiring manager, and we spoke for 1 hour, and we hit it off. And then she had me talk to one of her technical manager, and we hit it off too. So then they said, "Oh, we would like you to come and meet with us face to face." And I said, "Okay, that sounds good." Typically the way I always think about it, when a company invites you for a face-to-face, it's almost likely you're going to get the job. Otherwise, why waste time doing that? Well, anyway, but they said, you know what? We would like you to do two things. One is to give us a chalk talk on a topic that is related to the position, and the position had to do with selling software, a software development platform. Okay, IDE, I think they call it. And the second part of it was a presentation that they wanted me to deliver to them. And this had to do with the slide deck that they had sent me, something like, I think, 100 slides. I wasn't going to present 100 slides. I had to cut it down to maybe 10, maybe 10, 15, 10, I think it was what I came down, reduced it to. So I did the interview, and the end result is I did not get the job. And it hurt. And I said to myself, why did I not get this job? And I said, there's something that I must have done that I must avoid in the future. And after really thinking about it for weeks and weeks, it came down to the first call that I had with the hiring manager. And that's where I blew it. And that's where a lot of people blow their chances of getting a job. So what I'm going to talk is going to a strategy that I think is effective, and also discuss about a stopping rule so that you don't go on a wild goose chase. So let me first define this stopping rule, since I've used that word quite a few times now. Now, stopping rule is something we're quite familiar with. When we go to casinos and play blackjack, the blackjack dealer has a stopping rule. Once the dealer gets 17 or above, he has to stop. So he's not really gambling. He doesn't even have to be that smart. All he has to do is keep hitting till he gets 17, then it stops. And this works. Casinos make boatload of money with that simple stopping rule. Let me give you another example. In 1929, during the stock market crash, there was a banker by the name of Gerald Loeb. He survived the crash. And you know why? He had a very simple stopping rule, that if his investment dropped by 10%, he was out. That saved him, whereas other bankers got completely wiped out. Okay? So I'm going to talk about how to use a stopping rule when you're interviewing for a job, and especially on a first call. That is the most critical call in any interview. If you don't know whether you're getting a job in the first call, most likely you're not getting the job. But before you even get to implement the stopping rule, you also need a strategy. And the strategy has to do with what are you going to do on the call and how long you're going to have the call. I recommend you do not have the call for more than 30 minutes. That is adequate time to get as much information out of that first call as you possibly can. So the strategy should be there should be an opening, there should be a middle, and then there should be a close. So, okay, the first thing you do when you're having the call with the hiring manager, before you get into anything, is to ask a very simple question. And the question you want to ask is the following. You want to know that describe the ideal candidate in 3 words in order of importance. And he will give you 3 words, whatever they may be: problem solver, articulate, team-oriented, whatever. Jot it down on a piece of paper. At this point, you've got the 3 words. Focus on those 3 words, especially the first 2, And then you give the control back to the interviewer and say, okay, let's go into it. Now, in the middle portion, you only want to focus on 2 things here. The problem definition, let the interviewer define the problem. And then your job on this call is to make sure you understand the problem and get it validated by the interviewer. Once you have done that, then it's time to move to the solution part of this. And here, you don't want to offer a solution. They have already figured this out. They're not hiring you to solve a problem, even though that's how it comes across. They're hiring you to execute. So once the solution has been defined, how they plan to solve it, your job on the call is to say, based on your past experience, your educational background, your knowledge, insights, that you can execute flawlessly. And that's it. Now, if there are any other things that come up in that first call, I would try to steer away from that and defer it for a later call if it gets to that. Your overall objective in this call is to know quickly whether you're getting the job or not getting the job. If you feel like you're not getting the job, then you're probably right. You're not getting the job. So now, let's get to the close. This is the most important part. Now you got the 3 words. You want to close by asking the interviewer, based on his or her looking at your resume and having this conversation, how would you describe me as a candidate? Now, pay close attention to what the interviewer says. If the 3 words are identical, then you have to go for the close. You are a perfect match. Ask them, when can I start? Get it over with. At this point, it should not drag on. If it's dragging on, then they're lying to you, or they got a real flawed process. The second scenario could be, what if the interviewer says, well, I can't really come up with the order of importance. They're all equally weighted. Don't buy that. We don't live in a world of equality. We live in a world of inequality. And that means that the first word, according to the formula that I use, has a 60% weight. The second one has a 30% weight. And the third one has a 10% weight. And after that, it really doesn't matter. So that's why I say the first 2 words are the most important, and the third one is the least important. Actually, the first word, and the second word, and then the third word, like that, right? Because here's the thing. If they were hiring based on equality, then why even interview you? They could just put people's name on a ping pong machine and then put it through and pick one and see which one comes out. They're not doing that. So there is, it's not an equal process. So don't buy into that. The third scenario is the most interesting one that I run into. The words are not matching the ideal candidate. Okay, they're either all different or one of them is there or whatever. They don't match exactly. What do you do? Here, I think the right strategy to use is, and I can't make the call for you. This is something where you have to make the call, since you are, it's unique to your situation and the information that you have based on this particular opportunity that you're pursuing. But here's what I would do. I would not say, hey, since we're not matching, it's over. No, I don't think that's a good thing to do. I think what you need to do is the following. So look, since I am not your ideal candidate, however, I am open to exploring further how we can close this gap. And then let him say, look, I'll let you, we can pick a particular topic and I can go into it. At that point, pick a specific area of interest that the interviewer has and see if you can narrow the gap. This is how I think the first call should go. Most of the time, the first call veers into all kinds of nonsense stuff that has really nothing to do with the main question that you need to answer. Are you getting the job or not getting the job? At the end of the call, if you think you're getting the job based on what the interviewer said, then you're most likely going to get the job. So do not dismiss the importance of the first call. In my opinion, it is the most important call in any job interview process. Good luck.